Welcome to Voices of the Code. I am Carl Murray, and with me as always is Mr. Stephen Fox. Today we do
Hello.
have, oh yeah, we got to get the hellos in there. Today we do have Leah Thompson, better known as Leah T Codes on like every social media platform you've known. Leah, go ahead and say hi to us.
Hello.
There we go.
Short and sweet. I like it.
I love it. Yeah, Leah is fantastic. So Leah is fairly new to Laravel. Only been using it for what, 2 years?
No, so for Laravel and PHP since basically June, July.
Okay.
Oh wow,
Cool.
so really new.
Very new.
Super fresh.
Yeah.
Super fresh. All right. Well, do you want to tell us the story of what got you in? I mean, you have a kind of a cool story. Let's start there. Math teacher to developer.
Mhm.
Okay. Tell us more about that. Like, how did we get there?
So my background is in mathematics. I have a bachelor's of science in mathematics. So I didn't even go to school for teaching or education. It was pure math. And I always wanted to do something that used applied mathematics. I wanted to go into a field like that, but I graduated in May of 2020, so COVID. And like all the jobs I wanted to apply for were gone. So I ended up going into teaching because my husband was still in college and I had to support us at the time because I was working at a grocery store, which grocery stores during COVID, also awful, and you get paid less. So I went into teaching in Florida during COVID. And I had no like education background or anything. So I taught high school geometry and algebra for a year and a half. That was awful, obviously, because like Florida, COVID, everything. Like some of my students were amazing, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do. I started having like health issues really bad. So I knew I wanted to quit teaching. So when I looked into quitting teaching, I was like thinking of what I could do. So I looked into going to get my master's in statistics. But I found like an online boot camp. It was like advertised on Reddit and it was called 100 Devs and it was a free way to learn full stack web development with the MERN stack. So a full JavaScript stack, MongoDB, Express, React, Node. So I decided I was going to try that. And I started that in January of 2022. And then by November of that year, I had my first developer job.
Dang. Nice.
So Josh Siri is known as the JavaScript to Laravel guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Leah Thompson is the Laravel or the JavaScript to Laravel girl, woman.
Math
I don't know about
to
that.
JavaScript to Laravel.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too, because my first dev role was actually as an email developer, which you're making HTML and CSS for marketing emails. So it could also be HTML to Laravel. Like there's a bunch of different, or like email dev to Laravel. There's a lot of different tags I could take.
Cool. I'm curious. Have you seen any like stuff from your mathematics education that has applied to dev stuff you've done, or just the act of critical thinking, anything along those lines that kind of made you ready to be a developer?
Mainly the critical thinking, because I already really like problem solving. Also with when you major in mathematics, especially like a bachelor's of science versus like a BA in it, you're doing a lot of proofs. Like it's basically all proofs near the end. So I'm used to like, okay, well, here's this concept. How can I use this to solve the problem that I'm trying to? It's like you have a bunch of theorems and then you have to figure out like how to twist those theorems around to solve your problem or like prove what you're trying to, but then make sure your logic is solid. And also because my husband majored in computer science. So like I know a lot of our classes were similar, but I would take like the actual theory versus the applied version. Like I had to take linear algebra and stuff like that, but I was writing proofs for linear algebra versus doing like MATLAB or something for it, you know? So I know a lot of the like logic stuff carried over. Like it makes sense to me because it's just like mathematical logic is what computer science is built off of. The actual math part I've seen lately in what I was doing for work because I was like doing some like graph theory stuff.
Okay.
And like breadth first search and stuff like that. When I get like deep into those, it feels very mathy. Or whenever I like nerd out on like leak code, it feels very mathy. My like everyday work does not. It's just like, well, I don't know, arithmetic, you know? It's not, I'm not like doing the calculus that I love, but I still feel it there enough to enjoy it.
Yeah, still have the technical mindset
Mm-hmm.
and attention to detail and stuff like that. So very cool. Very cool.
Leah does have a Twitch channel, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of cool. If you guys haven't jumped on and watched her stream, she does a lot of programming in that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how that got started?
Yeah, so I actually started streaming on Twitch and posting on Twitter whenever I was doing the 100 Devs bootcamp. So for 100 Devs, Leon Noel is the one who founded 100 Devs and does it all for free. At the time, it was cohort 2, and he was live streaming it on Twitch. So I made a Twitch account just to watch the classes. And in March, so 2 months after starting to learn web development, I decided I was going to start streaming because like I was building these projects and I'd post pictures on Twitter and I'd have people in the same program as me like asking me for help on theirs or asking me like how I built my projects. And so the like former teacher in me was like, I could stream, teach other people what I'm learning, and it'll help like solidify the concepts in my head. So I just started streaming. It was like a month or a couple weeks after I started learning JavaScript. So very, very new. I started streaming and I've just kept streaming on Twitch since then.
That's awesome. Was it like,
For those who
was it super nerve-wracking to get into that whenever it was such a new thing to you?
It was, but it's also weird because like I have pretty bad anxiety. Like whenever I went to Laracon, I like got really nervous and hid behind a trash can for like 15 minutes because it was like my first in-person conference and I was like, oh God, and I got really scared. Streaming on Twitch, I don't feel that as much, which like I know like people are watching me, but it doesn't feel as like nerve-wracking because I don't see them, you know?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's fine. I was like shaking the first time I streamed and a little nervous, and I was streaming like Code Wars right off the jump. But I already had like kind of like a community on Twitter. Like I think I had like 6,000 followers on Twitter at the time. So I had people who had like followed me right off the bat, and I think I had like 30 people show up at my first stream, like being really
Cool.
supportive of me. So that really helped too. That I didn't have to start with like 0 people because that would have made my anxiety like so much worse.
Right. Just kind of hanging out with a small group of friends, and then that grew from there. Very nice. Super cool. I'm curious how like you have seen this transition for you, at least a little bit, from JavaScript side of developing over to Laravel. What's kind of been your take on those two different experiences? Even though I shouldn't say it like that, like Laravel still opens the door to using a lot of JavaScript. There's something about using Laravel that says you can't use JavaScript a bunch for front-end work, but I'm just kind of curious how you have seen and perceived the Laravel framework and the role that it plays in your learning and anything that you're applying.
I really like Laravel. Of course, my main stack starting out was like MERN stack. I feel like using Laravel, like, because I'm doing React now, so it's like React, Inertia.js, Laravel, Tailwind. Like, I'm still holding on to JavaScript. I didn't want to like completely dive into Livewire. And we're also using React for work. Like, we had changed it for work, so that's why I like started picking it up too. Compared to like MERN, using Laravel and like the React stack, I really enjoy it. I like how it makes like auth and stuff like that so much easier because it's a like big pain trying to do that with MERN because they're always like changing the dependencies and stuff. So you bring in one, it updates, and then everything else breaks, and then like hours later you still can't get it to work, and then you're crying and you just give up on the application. If it's like my little side project, I have like 3 dead repositories that are like auth. It's like auth try number 1, auth try number 2, from my MERN apps. And then with Laravel, that's just not a problem whatsoever.
Yeah, it gets a lot of that kind of boilerplatey standard stuff out of the way, and you can really be focusing on business logic rather than foundational elements.
And it kind of forces you to do MVC, which I appreciate because otherwise my backend code for the like JavaScript stuff was just spaghetti code. You know, it's like all together. It's not like structured at all. So
Right. Yeah. Cool. Carl, do you have any sort of segue from there? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, there we go. So Leah, what you mentioned earlier that your company is using React. What company is that, and what can you tell us about that company without breaking NDAs?
it's an agency. I guess I'll say it's on my LinkedIn. But it's Rugged Software. So it's like a really small agency that I'm currently like doing contracting with.
Oh, so competitor. Got it.
There's like 5 of us, so we're very small.
Oh,
So
Carl.
it's a small agency, and one of the contract I'm on, or project I'm on, is like making a website for a like a game company, and the current game that it's for is a text-based lit RPG game.
That's awesome. I'm waiting for those to make a comeback. I really am. I was playing with one in the command line the other day. 2E for life, and I'm waiting for those to make a comeback. I really am.
What text editor do you like to use?
I'm using PHP Storm. So VS Code was my tried and true for all things JavaScript. And I think I also used VS Code for Python. I've like written a bunch of other languages too. Like I've written Python, Java. I tried Ruby briefly. For Java, I used IntelliJ IDEA, the community version. But besides that, I stayed with VS Code. But I decided to just go straight to PHP Storm for Laravel just because of the plugin, which I'm going to try VS Code again because of the new Laravel plugin coming out, I think this month for VS Code. So I'm going to try it again, but I really like PHP Storm.
Nice. Good choice. Good choice.
And Alexander 6 is trying to get me on NeoVim, so maybe Alex will get me on NeoVim, but
there you go.
I'm resistant.
If anyone will do it, it'll be Alex for sure.
You've made it with coding once you're using NeoVim.
What? No. It's as simple as this. The second that you figure out how to get out of them, you're a developer.
Oh, I can do that.
Then you've already done it. Good job.
Thank you. I typed in "oo" the other day. Instead of WQ, it was just "oo." And then I was like, why am I still in here? And I was like, oh, my bad.
Is there anything in particular as you've been learning Laravel that you have found to be a really valuable source for learning that side of things?
I like Laracast. My boss pays for us to have a subscription for Laracast. So nice. I like that. Also just the docs, the docs are really good. I'm one who instead of just straight up following a tutorial, I usually go to the docs. So the Laravel docs are really good. The PHP docs are pretty good. The Laracast is good. I think also the Laracast, the website has forums where people can ask questions. So I read that a lot, or I'll check Stack Overflow for stuff. Cause I kind of Google errors as I go. So those are my main resources. I also did buy a Udemy course for Laravel, but I haven't actually taken it yet. I did buy it.
Okay. But... Money well spent then. Well spent. And you said, let's see, you did attend Laracon. It was your first one. Same for me. It's the first one I've been able to go to. Super cool experience. Lots and lots of people. So I definitely understand wanting to hide behind the trash can for the first little bit. Was there anything in particular at Laracon that you really liked? And have you been to any other tech conferences, or did you mean that was genuinely the first tech conference you've been to?
Generally the first one I've been to.
Okay.
I tried to go to another one, the same other one twice, and each time I had to cancel. So Laracon's the first one I actually made it to. I am going to another one next month, so it kind of, not Laracon, but going to Commit Your Code conference that Leah Thompson's doing next month. So Laracon kind of made me want to go to more conferences. The only reason I ended up being able to go to Laracon 2 is because I won the ticket from Larabells.
Ah, cool. Very nice.
I won it, I think 3 weeks before the conference. So I had no plans to go, and it was sold out, right? And then I won the ticket to go, and I was like, oh, well, guess I'm going to Laracon. And I hadn't, we had started using Laravel, I think in maybe the beginning of June, but I hadn't really done much with it. So I finished the Chirper tutorial, the night before Laracon. So I'm wow. Brand new, because I hadn't started doing Laravel tickets yet for work. I was still doing the React front end stuff mainly. But I knew it was in our code base, and I kind of looked at it a little bit. So I felt like a fraud for some reason at Laracon. I'm like, all these PHP devs, and I'm just over here, the little JavaScript girl in the corner. And I didn't really know a lot of people. Like I knew Aaron Francis. I knew Aaron Francis, and I knew some other people, but not a lot. Like I knew Alexander Six, because he had been streaming on Twitch for a couple years. But everyone else I really didn't know, so I was like scared to talk to people because I hadn't interacted with them online, which now I interact with PHP and Laravel people all the time online. But I really enjoyed the community. Also, the talks were really great too. Like obviously, flying a drone with reverb blew my mind. Also Joe's Tui cool. That makes me want to do terminal things. Like I just felt really inspired. But also everyone was so nice. Like I was really scared going in because like I said, I felt like a fraud. And then like Aaron gave me a pep talk and he's like, you are not a fraud. You're not telling people you're like a senior PHP dev. It's like, you're nice. Like you're great. Like don't be stressed out. Just people were so nice. And like people in the JavaScript world are nice too, but then it doesn't feel the same. You know, like JavaScript, we're so divided, like on different frameworks, like we're fighting over Vue and React and Angular and everything. And everyone at Laracon was just like, oh, well, we're glad to have you. Like, I'm so excited to see like what you'll do. Just very nice.
That does seem to be a common consensus that we've seen. Is just people like how welcoming the Laravel community is. So I'm glad that you got those vibes.
One thing I do want to do real quick is I want to give you guys a review of Leah, because she is an incredibly open and very, very nice person to talk to. I actually tweeted at her at Laracon. It was like, hey, I'm here. Where are you? And she was like, I'm over here. And we actually got a chance to meet up at Laracon, which is pretty cool. And normally people would be like, no, I don't know who you are. Stay the hell away from me. Leave me alone. But
I would
Leah
never
was
do
like,
that.
Which is probably one of my favorite experiences at Laracon, was because it was my first Laracon as well. And I'm like, anybody who would be willing to talk to me for even 5 minutes, I was like going out of my way to go to talk to them. And Leah was one of the first ones that actually like replied to my tweet and was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm there. Let's go. And that was pretty cool. So if you guys ever get a chance to go to Laracon and Leah's there, just send her a message and she'll probably tell you where she's at or hiding and which trash can she's hiding behind.
I'll be like, where's Waldo? But it's where's Leah? It's like, oh, she's behind this trash can. My trash cans I frequent are normally near the food bar and where like the water
coffee
stations are. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm not sure you can classify that as hiding anymore if you make it abundantly clear of where you are located.
Well, that way, if I tell people, right, where they should look, then I can't hide. If people come up to me, I talk, and that's fine. But, like, I get scared to approach people. So I just, like, stay in the side. I did talk to Josh Siri, too, because I knew him as well. Because, like, another one of my friends was learning Laravel. So whenever I started tweeting about learning Laravel, he, like, instantly tagged Josh. And he's like, check out his YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Josh is so cool. Like, he is so laid back. I got a chance to meet him at Laracon, too. He was just standing around. I'm like, all right, look for the guy with the hat. And of course, Josh threw me off by not wearing the hat. So that's really funny. Laracon stories can go on for days, especially with Caleb breaking the screen and everybody having to go on hold for 30 minutes.
I forgot about that.
You forgot about
I blocked it out. That was funny.
That was the most wonderful 30 minutes of ad lib I've ever seen Aaron and Caleb pull off.
That was fantastic. You could tell that they're really good friends outside of just the Laravel community, because there was no way that they, like, Aaron joked about like coming on stage and just like trying to help bail Caleb out, and like they just did this whole, it literally felt like a Seinfeld sketch for like 30 minutes straight, and it is nowhere on YouTube. I looked for it. So yeah, if you guys get a chance to go to Laracon, there's so much that happens behind the scenes that you guys will never see on YouTube.
I feel like at Laracon, like 2025, now like I want something like that to happen, and then I just
right. So guys, if you're at Laracon, watch Steven. He's probably going to have a pair of scissors cutting an HDMI cable.
I'm just accidentally tripped some cords, and then we'll just like try to push, Daniel and Taylor and anybody else up on the stage and see how they do for 30 minutes.
It'll be great while we figure out which HDMI cable is broken. Sorry, my voice is gone.
It's all good. I've been sick. Carl's now sick. This is just great stuff for two podcast hosts.
I'm sorry, Leah. You'll probably be sick next week.
I was sick last week, and then I woke up this morning and I felt sick. So it's already happening.
Fantastic.
Man.
For those of you who don't know, we are right off the cusp of Laracon AU is happening now. Like it happened last night. They've already done some pretty amazing announcements. They've already had a lot of really cool speakers on. And Leah actually tweeted about this, about having FOMO, which I definitely have. But I wanted to kind of see what triggered Leah's FOMO from this one.
Missing out on the live announcements and Jess Archer. Jess Archer's my hero. And like I had to watch her speech on a live stream, and it's like I don't want to miss out. Like I feel like first at Laracon US they announced like cloud and all these big things. I think also it was Inertia 2.0 that they announced there too, right?
Yeah.
And then now in Australia they announced Nightwatch as well as like a couple other products. I'm really excited for Nightwatch. So, and so who knows what they're going to announce in Europe, like in Amsterdam. So if I miss out, I'm going to be watching a live stream again, just waiting to see what they're going to announce. I miss being there in person because it's exciting watching the live stream, but it's another thing like when you're in person with everyone else.
Yeah.
Got it? Like you get to watch the announcements and then you get to go to like the after dark and all like chat and drink and like be excited about everything. And it's not the same vibes whenever you're just like sitting in your recliner with like 3 blankets having to watch on a live stream.
One of those blankets is orange and has Laravel logos all over it. It's an entirely different experience.
I sadly don't have a Laravel blanket yet, but I need to order one.
Oh, man. But yeah, 100%. My wife was very encouraging for me to go to Laracon. I actually had a somewhat similar experience to you, Leah. I didn't get to win my ticket, but I was trying to get my ticket originally, like literally the day that they sold out.
Oh.
So I missed, and I had basically kind of given up on it. We had just had our second baby, and so life was fairly complicated. And then at like the last minute, I made a last-ditch effort and asked Twitter if anybody had a ticket, and they weren't going to be able to go. So sure enough, 3 weeks before Laracon, I wound up securing a ticket, had to figure out last-minute travel plans and all of this stuff. But that's for Laracon US. But whenever I spoke to my wife about Laracon AU, thinking I wasn't making it to the US event, she was all for it. She's like, heck yeah, Australian vacation, let's go. But very expensive to get over there. Couple $100 to make it to Texas, thousands of dollars to make a family over to Australia for a week. So
yeah,
right.
I looked into Australia even just for me, and it was like, I don't know, like almost 2K, I think, with like everything. I was like, oh, I don't think that's happening.
Yeah. So really want to go. It's a little bit larger of a barrier, but EU would be awesome too. We've been to Amsterdam before, and it's an awesome city. So if you guys have not been to Amsterdam before, it's a very good reason to also attend and stay for a couple extra days for sure.
I actually haven't traveled a lot. I think the only other country I've been to is Mexico.
Oh man, make it to Europe. Europe is awesome.
I don't even have a passport.
I'm going to break both of your brains. I've never left the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are so Texan.
The funny part is I used to work for a travel company.
You know what's funny too, though, is I live in Colorado now, but I'm from Florida. And like I've only left the country once, no passport. It was because it was with a cruise. So you saying he's so Texan, I'm like, oh God, I must be so Floridian too. Like barely have left the country.
What part of Florida are you from?
Northeast Florida.
I was from like just south of Daytona Beach on the East Coast.
Okay, so I'm north of Jacksonville.
Oh, okay,
I'm like
so right
Florida,
at the border.
Georgia border. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my family's like frequent vacation spots growing up was Amelia Island, northeast of Jacksonville. So kind of familiar with that area. But cool. Yeah, man. So you had, all of the cruises and availability from that. So yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, I've been to all the Caribbean islands. But guys, I'm telling you, when you can make it to Europe, it's awesome. If you do it the right way, I'm sure you can go to Europe and not enjoy it, but it's really easy to enjoy it. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah, it'll probably be very cold for Laracon EU. in
Yeah.
February. So bundle up if you make it, but otherwise. Okay, where else do we want to take this conversation? I feel like we need to debark from vacation chitter chatter, but
I can mention that I also started making YouTube videos recently. And for those and like for my personal projects, ever since Laracon, I've tried to stick with Laravel. Because for a while I was like hopping around, like I was building like a dating sim game using like Java and libgdx and stuff like that. But since Laracon, I was like, I'm just going to stick with Laravel, even for my side projects and stuff. So I started rebuilding my kind of capstone project from 2 years ago, which was like a multiplayer math quiz app, but rebuilding that using the Rilt stack. And so that way I could play around with Laravel Reverb. Not flying any drones yet, but still cool things and having fun.
That's next week, Leah.
Yeah, true.
Can you describe the concept there a little bit more for that capstone project? What is that? What does a multiplayer math game mean?
Basically just like the bare bones of it, or like the MVP of the project, is that it is a quiz app. So it allows you to be quizzed on different arithmetic operators. Like right now it's just set up for addition, subtraction. So whenever you like pick which one you want to be quizzed on, it will generate a quiz with 10 randomly generated questions. Since it's multiplayer, like once that's fully set up, or the way it worked on the other one, is that whenever you start a quiz, it will generate like a quiz lobby. So it'll give you a code. You can copy that code and send it to your friends, and they can use it to join the same like
session.
Quiz room. Yeah, the same session. And then you're competing against each other on these math quizzes. So a way to like make it fun, because as a teacher, there were a lot, like anytime we would play Kahoot or like quiz games in my classroom, the kids loved it, like whenever they could compete against each other. Otherwise, they were just like not interested, in doing it themselves. So just a way to make it like competitive to solve math quizzes, but also selfishly, like for myself, because the calculus quiz app I used to use on my phone was taken off the iOS store. So I was like, I need some app wherever I can like do little like calculus mini quizzes just for fun. So that's the thought of it. I do want to like build it out more with like a story mode or something for like single player, which you can kind of gamifies it more. So instead of just being like just straight up one quiz, it's like, here's this like island you're going through for like Addition Island, and like each little one is like quizzing you on different concepts, and it's like building up to the harder concepts for that.
Okay, very cool. Is it competing on time whenever you're in like a session and you'd be competing against each other? Is it time, or is it just accuracy?
Currently it's accuracy. I think time would be a fun thing to add in though.
Yeah. Kind of like flash quizzes. Super cool. I'll go back a little bit, but I actually was in the competitive math group at my high school. I'm trying to remember what it was called. For some reason, my head is going to Mu Alpha Theta. I have no idea if that's correct. But anyways, there was like I'm pretty sure it was nationwide, like a math competing society. And so, yeah, while other people were doing other fun things on their Saturday, I was on a school bus at 5 a.m. driving to Gainesville to go take a math exam against other kids.
I went to University of Florida. I love that. I know at UF they would always advertise this like program you could do, but I think it was like proofs. Like you had to do like proofs and speed run them, and I was like, I'm not doing that. No, like I could join it, but I'm not doing that. But I know, like, I would be at Universal Studios. Like, one time I was at Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights, and I was, like, in the queue just doing my little calculus quiz app. Just, like, quizzing myself on calculus, like, doing derivatives off the top of my head. And my friend's like, what are you doing? It's like calculus.
Yep. That's when you know you've hit nerd status, when you're just electing to do extra math for the heck of it. So that's awesome.
For the funds.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything in particular, like, with you still being relatively new to the Laravel space, that you find challenging, or a section of it that like you want to learn more, or anything like that, out of curiosity?
There's a lot of it I want to learn more about. Right now I'm focusing on like the reverb stuff, so more on like the events and stuff like that, just for my own project. I know whenever I was writing like this method, to kind of filter some data we had that I was having to do graph traversal stuff for my job. I was running into issues with like, if I, like we have this JSON that's pretty complicated, like it's pretty complex. And in JavaScript, you can just easily access nested JSON by just doing like the square brackets, you know? But for Laravel, it's like I would have to put, so say I put the original collection or the original like array in a collection, but then it's a collection that has arrays nested inside of it. If I want to overwrite properties in those nested arrays, I was getting like errors and having to find like weird ways to overwrite it because like I couldn't just access it the way I would in JavaScript because it said it wasn't getting it like as a reference. It wasn't changing it like at the reference level. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but I ran into a bunch of issues with that and having to like find ways to get around that. Because like usually when you look up how to get around that, they want you to use map, like to map over it. But if you just want to change one specific value, like or in one specific one of the nested arrays, then mapping doesn't make any sense.
Is this something
they're gonna
like
fix that in PHP 8.4?
Yeah,
they have like a bunch more array methods.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I remember you telling me that last stream.
I'm not positive I'm fully understanding the problem here. Carl, are you picking up what this is?
Basically,
go ahead.
Basically, it's not malformed. I think that's a bad term for it, but it's some of the properties that she's trying to access are like 6 or 7 layers deep, and it's impossible to tell if it's an object or an array, and how PHP complains about accessing it. It also sounds like she could potentially be running into an issue with pass by reference, or pass by forgot what the other one's called.
Like value.
Yeah.
So it's maybe a pass by reference issue.
Because it was like JSON, right? So we have this huge JSON structure, and then inside of that, I'm accessing an array directly in it, which is like rooms. And then inside the rooms array is like hundreds of other objects that then have arrays and stuff nested inside of them. And then those arrays might have more arrays nested inside of them. And then I have to like loop over and change certain properties for like one specific room in like one specific nested array in that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm assuming the objects within these arrays they didn't have keys, right? Otherwise we'd be talking about objects within an object, not objects within an array. But so then how would you know whenever you're trying to update something, one of these objects within an array structure, which one to target? You'd have to just do that by an index number. It has no key.
That or a type check, which would be really annoying because it's like every other line of code would be a type check.
I'm pretty sure they do have a key because like for the rooms, at least the rooms array, I converted it to a collection where the ID is the specific vnum for the room, and then the value is the array itself or the object of the room. I don't know.
Solving that problem in and of itself is a puzzle, and I feel like my brain is just like, I need to see the object.
Yeah. And it's like NDA for that, so I couldn't.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why also... No, I mean like for this project specifically too, like or else I'd be more detailed about it too. But even explaining it, I'm trying not to be like super detailed because it's like you don't want to say something that like isn't supposed to be said.
And let's move on. Time for a new topic.
Just gloss over that topic. So Leah is like Steven and I. She's a weird keyboard user. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've got?
Yeah. So I have a Iris Rev 8 from Key.io.
What do you like about it, and what do you not like about it?
I think I like everything about it. I wish I had. What are they called?
Them clusters?
No, the legs. Like the.
Oh, so it's totally flat. It doesn't. You can't tint it. Okay.
So you choose you can build it your own by yourself, right? So you can just order the kit and build it yourself. I got it pre-built. I didn't want to build it myself. So to get it, when you get it pre-built, you choose like what casing and everything you want on it. And I think the tinting, like the one that had little holes for tinting was sold out whenever I ordered it. So mine doesn't have that. It's just completely flat. I could I think people 3D print certain things to allow you to have tinting on it, but I haven't done that. So it's just completely flat. So I do kind of wish or eventually would want one with tinting. But besides that, I pretty much like everything on it. The only thing that gets me is I forget what keys are mapped to what, because it's smaller. That I'm like, okay, now where the hell are my brackets? And I'm having to remember if it's lower or upper and all that.
Steven, do you use the ZSA key map app?
Yeah, I use whatever their software is called.
No, they have an actual app called Key Map with 2 P's, and it actually shows you your layout exactly on the
so you can
screen.
Just see it real time.
You could just see it, and if you hold down your modifier keys, it'll actually switch to that layout as well. So it would solve Leah's problem if it was available on her keyboard.
There is some software available like that for my keyboard, and I have to bring it up all the time because I forget.
I feel like if your mapping gets that complicated, then you've just lost your productivity anyway. You have to go look up what it is. So if you can't just instantaneously remember what everything is, you just need to try to simplify it some. Otherwise, you're going backwards.
I probably should. I've gotten the hang of a lot of it, but it'll be little things like the tilde. And I'm like, where did I put this? Because I might not use it all the time, but then whenever I go to use it, I'm like, okay, where is this? Or whenever I'm trying to do template literals in JavaScript, and I'm like, okay, now where is that little thing that I need for this? And I have to go Google it and copy it sometimes.
I did see that in the last stream. For those of you who don't know, she does stream on Twitch, and it is pretty entertaining to watch her think through some of these problems that she's dealing with, and especially the ones where it's where what is that key called? Where is that at? It's kind of interesting to see
that's what happened.
The problems that she has to deal with.
And then chat's Chat said something dumb one time about my keyboard because I was I need to learn the mapping, and they're you should just be so good that you know it all. It's you have to know your mapping to know where it all is. But they're you just use it and then you know it all. And it's no, you have to know where it is. I don't know. You don't just learn it by hitting buttons.
I don't know if they are just thinking that you have a standard keyboard or if they don't. I don't know, but
I showed it. That a minute before they said that, I was holding out the keyboard. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of gatekeeping I feel a lot of people do, and it drives me nuts. Because they do that with Laravel as well. It's oh, well, you want to know all these really cool things? Well, then you have to buy my course. And I'm it's all in the docs, guys. Just tell me what page of the doc it is.
Yeah.
I'll read it from there.
Yeah.
Their course will tell you though. You pay $80, and then the first little notification will be go to the Laravel docs at this URL.
Right. Yeah. And that's the only value you get from the entire course. That drives me insane.
I'd be bummed about that one.
Yeah, that is a bummer. All right.
Buy my next course coming out next month that links only to the Reverb docs and the new Laracast course for it.
It's actually just a link to the YouTube video where Laravel is announcing Reverb and how to use it.
Yeah.
And that's the entire course.
And I think Josh has a tutorial on it. I'll link to Josh's too.
Yeah.
Josh's series.
You guys are just telling me I need to get into the course business because apparently you can do nothing and still make sales. So
100%. That is, I was doing some math on this because Udemy is really, really, really bad about putting everything on sale. So literally, if you want to buy a course on Udemy, wait a week, it'll go on sale. But I was laughing because one of the things that you can do on Udemy is you can actually see how much money a person is making off of that course. Ooh. And one person was a millionaire off of one course.
Holy cow.
Time to get in.
I was one Python course made him a millionaire. I'm that's insane.
What if our course is how to become a millionaire through Udemy? And then we make
Don't give them ideas, Leah.
I'm giving us ideas.
Okay, you're giving me course inception. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'm getting confused.
Well, it's the people on Twitter who become like tech influencers, and then they're like, how to build your platform on Twitter, and they sell the courses, and I was like, just be a nice person and just post your stuff. Like, that's it.
Don't be a crappy person. It's not that hard. It's like those Amazon influencers as well. It's like, here, let me tell you how to make thousands of dollars a day, and they're like show their bank account on their phone, and they're like, see, I made thousands yesterday. I didn't do anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's called luck.
If they're finding it more valuable to spend their time to teach other people how to make money than just making the money themselves, something's up.
Yeah, but they made the money from the course, not from the linking of the Amazon stuff.
Yeah, anyway. You see this like all the time. People like talking about how to invest and make a whole bunch of money. And I'm like, if you could be making anywhere near as much money as what you advertise your customers of your course could be making, you wouldn't need to be doing this course. But regardless,
flood the market. That's a great way to make money. Flood the market.
So, something I am a little bit curious on from a recent thing of mine, Leah. Have you done any sort of certifications from your like bootcamp experience and then trying to get that first job? Did you happen to do anything like that?
No, I don't think I have any certifications at all.
Okay.
The bootcamp thing, since it was like all online, virtual, we did it ourselves. I was able to like finish it really quick, so I kind of went through the coursework he gave us, and then from there I went to like doing Scrimba to learn React, like doing free courses. I decided to use like Python in my first rendition of the math quiz app. I used Python for that, and I used Free Code Camp to learn that. So I kind of was like hopping around doing like free online resources. I never like did certification things, and I bought Udemy courses and never completed them to get the little digital certificate. So
is it anything that came up during any of like the interview processes that you did or to land your job? Did they ever even remotely ask about any of that type of stuff, or
no?
Was it never a thing?
Certification was never a thing. What helped me in interviewing and stuff like that is like whenever I was first trying to go from no job in tech to my first job in tech, is that I had built that like quiz app, right? So I had used React. I'm trying to remember what I used. React, MongoDB, Python, Flask, and Socket.io for that. Okay. So I talked about that a lot. Like I put that on my resume. I put like my jobs from teaching, but like above that, I put my projects. So I put that project. I also was in some hackathons. So I did 2 hackathons where I like won prizes during it. And I also did 48 and 48, which is like a way you can volunteer to do kind of like web development, and it's WordPress, which is why I hate WordPress. But it's like WordPress with Beaver Builder, and you have 48 hours to build a website for a nonprofit. So you're volunteering, you're put in a team with like a project manager, like 3 other developers and a designer, and you're supposed to build this website for a nonprofit in 48 hours and as Beaver Builder. And it was awful. I was like hacking CSS in the thing, which you're not supposed to do. I'm like adding in stuff, and I was the only one that knew how to do that. But it's like because the preset theme just wasn't working the way it was supposed to, and things were displaying kind of weird. And then you only have 48 hours, so I didn't sleep, and I'm like panicking. But it was good experience because you're working in a team, and delivering something to a client and communicating with the client. So I had stuff like that I put on my resume, and I just really leaned into that stuff in the interviews, especially the math quiz app one, because it tied in my background from mathematics and teaching into like programming. So I was able to really kind of sell that like, hey, I am really passionate about this. I'm not just trying to like jump in because you can make good money and then like them be scared I wouldn't stay, But they never asked anything about certifications. They did maybe talk about degrees, but again, since my degree's in mathematics, it is still like STEM. So
yeah. Carl, have you ever seen anything like that? Anything with certifications for you?
No. I do occasionally see some stuff where so my current job does require some stuff like that, but they do train you in all that stuff, and that's because we do work with doctor's offices and dentist offices occasionally. So we do have to do some. It's more security training than it is like certs. I guess what we're getting at here is if you are trying to get into break into tech, you don't have to have the certifications that a lot of other degrees or a lot of other fields would require.
I think it depends on what you're trying to go into. Like, obviously, if you're trying to go into cloud, you're going to need certs.
Oh, yeah. You're going to need some AWS certs for sure.
But like general programming, I don't think so.
I do want to touch on one thing because I just got through doing a project in WordPress with Beaver Builder. Nick, if you're listening, I did like the project. It was fun. I just don't love WordPress that much. So I can align with Leah in the 48 hours of Beaver Builder.
Man.
Like maybe if I was building my own little site in WordPress and it was like, I'm very chill, relaxed, no time restraint, maybe I'd enjoy it. I don't think so, but maybe I'd enjoy it. But
I'm just trying to imagine Leah sitting there with her headphones and listening to like lo-fi music and just like zenning out while working with WordPress. I don't think that that's the thing. I don't think you can do that.
My 48 and 48 experience is like me on a Zoom call for like 8 hours with also like screamo music in the background and like 4 energy drinks trying to get this thing done. And I stayed up like to I think 6 a.m. the day it was due, and I didn't wake up again till like 1 p.m. right before we were supposed to pass it off to our client. So I had to like hurry up and push stuff or like get stuff through.
I think I feel lucky that I don't know what this Beaver Builder thing is.
Beaver Builder is actually really, really, really good, especially if you want something done quickly.
What is it?
Assuming that it's a... Have you ever played with Divi? You know what Divi is?
No,
it's a
not
drag
really.
and drop. It's a drag and drop site builder in WordPress. So like you draw out your columns and rows, and then you add content to those columns and rows. So it's really, really, really easy. It's just one of those things. Elementor is another one of their competitors as well. So if you've done any of those, then you could pretty much pick up Beaver Builder and have it working in a couple of hours.
Thank you for the link there, Leah.
Yeah.
Leah's helpful.
Interesting.
So Leah, tell me a little bit about what your favorite coding stack is.
I don't know.
Come on,
I don't
you
eat
were
a
making
lot
fun
while
of me.
coding.
You were making fun of me the other day because I was telling you about my peanut butter crackers.
Oh, that's true.
She's too productive. She doesn't waste time eating, Carl. Come on.
Right.
No,
right.
it's
Both
like
hands
if
on the
I'm going
keyboard.
to eat, it's over. Like if I go away from my computer, it's over. I will sit there for like 3 hours. I'll make like chicken nuggets, jalapeno bites. I'll eat some fruit
There we go.
snacks. I'll just like be sitting there. Those aren't like snacks I'll eating. Those are like, I'm done. I'm trying to revive my brain.
I was just waiting for Leah to mention chicken nuggets. I was waiting for the nuggies to come out. That's what I was waiting for. Thank you. I can sleep comfortably tonight. Thanks.
Of course. You can always bet on me mentioning chicken nuggets because I love chicken nuggets.
So they're your comfort food. I got you.
All right.
We all have our comfort foods.
Yeah. Well, we're going to try and land this plane pretty quickly. Leah, what tips would you give a brand new Laravel, or not Laravel, but a brand new developer that's getting into tech? Maybe they're just landing their internship. What kind of tips would you give them?
Or maybe anything to get that, since like, I just feel like
have
it's
a lot of
really cool
experience in that.
Yeah, like you went from a different, what was going to be career path into what you are now doing. And I feel like a lot of people would gain value from your insights in that process.
I feel like something that was really important for me with like the transition from teaching to getting into tech is just building in public. Like that really, really has helped me. I've gotten my 2 jobs so far through Twitter and Twitch, like just from putting myself out there. I would say that's a really big thing, is also like to build a community of people in tech, because it can be hard sometimes. Like if you're trying to learn stuff or like even get through the internship by yourself and you don't have anyone to talk to about like any of your tech struggles or any of that, like I feel like it could be really lonely. I don't know if I would have been able to like stick with just doing a like 8-month boot camp if I didn't have that community, because you go through like the rejection when you first start applying for jobs and stuff, and it gets really hard to like push through that. But when you have a community to fall back on, it makes it a lot easier. So I would say try to like join a community like that. Like even if like there's a lot of free communities, the Laravel community obviously is very easy to just get into, just start posting about Laravel and people will just be excited for you. There's
just
places
use
like
hashtag Laravel on Blue Sky. You'll get tons of followers right away.
And interact with people who are in Laravel as well, like the Laravel community as well. there's Free Code Camp, there's Scrimba. They have like Discords that you can join, and it's like they have free resources as well. So you could just join Discords like that, communities like that, and start talking to people, building connections. But also if you start like posting on Twitter or Blue Sky or like streaming on Twitch and not only sharing your tech journey, but also like sharing parts of your personality, that really, sorry, my dogs are barking. I think someone knocked on the door. But that really can help as well, because people are like caring about you as a person, buying into you as a person, also like seeing your journey, and people will want to help. Like you might think like, oh, this stuff is stupid, I don't want to post it. Like me posting like my chirper tutorial, but people really are always willing to help and like really encouraging. I mean, obviously some people might be mean, but stuff like that I think is really helpful.
Yeah. There'll always be trolls, but you can ban them. So
yeah.
Well, yeah. One of my I love watching Leah and being able to like jump in and like help her out with stuff. One of the funny ones is she was struggling with inertia forms, which is really, really, really cool and very powerful thing. But it was interesting to see her struggle with it and trying to understand like where that line came from to try and help her push her over that curb so she understood it. I don't know if you ever got around to figuring it out or not.
Yeah, it works. One of the errors
Fantastic.
wasn't my actual code, it was something else. Or like it wasn't that I wrote that wrong, it was something else, yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, hop on. It's kind of like that meme where like you don't ask the question on Stack Overflow. You hop on Reddit and you post the wrong answer and you get everybody to course correct you by yelling at you and telling you that you're dumb. But you can do that in public with everybody watching you.
Yeah. Like 80 people watching you and people yelling at you, and sometimes it's like, why are you doing it this way? It's like, oh my God, my bad.
I'm sorry. It's like the whole tab versus spaces argument over Twitch. That would be hilarious. I want to see that one.
No,
Leah,
you don't.
make it happen.
I've been in the middle of stuff like that, but it's always like Tailwind versus CSS versus Bootstrap. And then you're doing it, and like, why are you using Tailwind? Why are you using Tailwind? It's like, because I want to do this stuff. And they're like, why are you using Flex and not Grid
for work?
Yeah. Well, now I do. It was when I was still email dev. I was deep in the SAS land. Inline CSS. Yeah.
Oh man,
Good stuff.
I hate email development. God.
Me too.
It's
I did it for a year and a half.
20
They
years
need to modernize that. They really
can't.
need to modernize that.
They can't.
I know they can't.
I think they are going to like cut off support for what is it, like Microsoft Outlook on Windows machines, like with I don't know. There's like specific clients for the Microsoft Outlook desktop client for Windows machines for certain years that use Microsoft Word as the rendering engine, which is why we have to do everything we do for email development. But I think they were cutting off support for that soon.
So eventually getting rid of the IE9 equivalent for email is what it sounds like.
Eventually should be able to use divs in emails and put styles on them and it actually render.
Oh man, there's so many like amazing modern browser features and all of this stuff that just makes web development so much more productive. And then I jump into like our newsletter template and it's just nested table upon table upon table upon table. And you have to describe things in both CSS classes, but then also inline styles and then all of this other stuff. And it's just like, oh, I just want to fork my eyeballs. It's just horrible. Absolutely horrible. So I hope that goes somewhere sometime relatively soon.
For the parent company of like 6 big retail stores.
Oh, wow.
Basically, the parent company of like Men's Warehouse. So all of those, it was only me and one other email developer making all the emails for them. For like Black Friday, for all of that. And then they'd be like, let's add linear gradient and curved borders to everything. Let's make the status bar that goes up whenever you get more like reward points. But we want a gradient and we want it to look this way. And I'm like, this is email development. So it's like 4 nested tables just to get that. And then they're like, this doesn't render on this specific thing that only 0.001% of our users use.
And this is why tons of marketing emails are actually a massive image that is just pasted into an email because it's easier in Photoshop. It's easier in Photoshop than it is in HTML.
Most of our emails were like that. It was just like grids of images that I had to clip. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
I am glad I'm not knee deep in doing marketing emails anymore. That stuff is just not fun.
Come help me with Backer Club sometime, Carl. I'll show you the ways.
I'm good. Hire Lumenfire. We'll take care of that for you.
Whatever you do, do not hire me. For people will still message me. I left email development. I fleed, and people are still like, Leah, can I talk to you about email development? And I'm like, yeah.
There's not enough money in the world to get me to do email development.
Good job. You just triggered Leah's PTSD. Good job. You just mentioned the word email, and Leah's like, nope.
I'm just screaming in my head. Like the SpongeBob thing of them just throwing boxes and it's on fire. That's my head. This is why I'm in Laravel land now. And I'm like, ooh, Laravel, back in development. Let me hold on to it.
So I feel the exact same way. Is there anything that we'd like to get to in this particular episode, guys?
I don't think so.
Leah's like, I've covered a lot.
She's like, on that, I'm now mentally exhausted. I need to go get into a food coma with some chicken nuggets. Bye-bye.
I've yapped, and now I need
She's got to go buy a Laravel blanket and chicken nuggets and watch Laracon AU tonight.
Yeah, with my little elephant. Oh, look, we match. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, mine's over there. You can't see him, but it's right there.
Okay.
Can we get a quick shout out for your puppy that was trying to be in this episode?
I don't know where she went.
Poor Ginger.
I don't know where she went. He's back there. He's sleeping.
Right, gotcha.
In the bed. I think she left. I think Ginger left me.
All right. So a couple final question for Leah. How can we get a hold of you? I know I mentioned this earlier, but yeah.
Give us your socials.
So places to find me are Twitter, at least for now. I think I'll stay on Twitter, but at least for now, Twitter, Blue Sky, Twitch, and YouTube. And I'm Leah T Codes everywhere.
Brilliant. And she just bought her first domain.
I did. Huh? LeahT.codes. And it's my Blue Sky handle now.
That's sweet.
And she did buy the domain just for Blue Sky. She did Blue Sky that. Are we calling it a post, or what's the term for Blue Sky?
The other one, people call it a skeet, but...
Yeah, I'm not calling it that.
It's a bluey, but there'll be tons of like copyright, trademark, probably problems with that. But sorry, as a father of two kids, bluey is like half of my life. So
I'm a father of two autistic children, and so Blue Sky or Bluey is still very much a part of my daily life.
Yeah, it's a good show.
That all said, it's a great show.
I think we can go ahead and wrap this up there.
Sure. One last thing real quick. If you do want to be on this episode, send me an email at carl@carlm.dev. So KARL@KARLM.dev. And we'll see about getting you on the show.
Yeah.
That being said, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah. If you liked any part of this, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, wherever you guys want to see. You guys know all of the stuff to do. There's plenty of this stuff out there already. So
do the thing down below. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Leah, thank you very much for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing your progress as you continue in your new tech career.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me on here.
You got it. See you guys later.